勝負だカカロット。恋すぎだ。
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Ayes, and welcome to my YouTube channel. When it comes to the horror genre, there are a few indie titles that are not only scary, but are also original. Many horror games in the indie scene attempt to capitalize on the success of games such as Amnesia: The Dark Descent and Alien Isolation, and focus on experiences that place you in the first-person perspective and task you with maintaining distance from a fictional creature. There have been successes in the past like Layers of Fear and Outlast, but many of them are similar to Daylight. Cheap, jump-scare fest where the story does not warrant the tedious nature of the gameplay. In 2017, a new series made its presence known and presented a fresh take on the meaning behind horror. Little Nightmares came out swinging, with an immense sense of scale, extremely creepy enemy design and lore, and gameplay that forces you to contend with those who are trying to take you out of commission. Although the first Little Nightmares was cool, the sequel was released in 2021 and improved everything from its predecessor, as well as added one of the most surprising endings in recent memory. In 2025, Little Nightmares 3 came out, and sadly, it was the weakest iteration of the series. As it was developed by a different studio, Little Nightmares 3 lacked a style of scare that made Little Nightmares 1 and 2 special, and the AI of your companion did not help the title's case. All of this backstory leads us to today's featured game. Reanimal was developed by Tarsier Studios, the same developers that created the first two Little Nightmares titles, and this small detail is evident from the game's introduction. The atmosphere is spot on, the enemy design is nightmare fuel, and it also incorporates a couple of endings. At this point, the two prominent questions are as follows. 1. Is Reanimal a worthy spiritual successor to Little Nightmares 1 and 2? And 2. Is Reanimal better than the second Little Nightmares title? We will answer both of these questions in this review. Without further ado, let's review Reanimal, which was released this year and was played on the PlayStation 5. Story. Reanimal's plot resembles a great A24 film. Take 2018's Hereditary, for example. Fantastic lore, terrifying imagery, and an ending that leaves you with some questions. All of these details can be said about Reanimal. You play as a child who starts his adventure by rescuing his companion for the remainder of the journey, and proceeds to venture off to rescue other children from foes who look like monsters from your childhood. There may be random instances of voice acting for the protagonist and a couple of characters that you meet along the way, but the storytelling on display with Reanimal is purely visual. Each section of the explorable world is intriguing and attempts to convince you to further study each nook and cranny. By the title's third act, you are interested in seeing the protagonist escape the nightmare and succeed. I will not spoil the ins and outs of the lore, but I would like to mention that the game features a couple of endings, one of which slightly eases the confusion from Reanimal's final 5 minutes. Nevertheless, you will enjoy Reanimal's story if you have a preference for spooky films with a touch of mystery. Visuals and audio design. I previously mentioned that the storytelling is purely visual. In that case, Reanimal's visuals must carry the load if the title's writers want their message to properly translate to gamers. Thankfully, their mission is accomplished with flying colors. Every level, whether you're walking through flower fields or scaling a clock tower, is beautifully designed and filled with detail. The sense of scale from the original two Little Nightmares games return here, adding to the fear factor, especially when you encounter the enemies. They will leave you on the edge of your seat as you try to do everything in your power to escape them. The game also runs flawlessly, which is a tremendous help during those chase sequences. The visuals in Reanimal are the stars of the show. As far as the audio is concerned, my primary complaint is the voice acting, or lack thereof. The first Little Nightmares did not have any voice acting, while the sequel dipped its toes into the realm of voice acting with characters who essentially groan to each other as a way to signal for help. Reanimal has a few spots where the characters actually talk with each other and try to figure out their respective goals, but it would have been much better, in my opinion, if Reanimal consistently introduced scenes with voice acting that would not only develop the characters, but also provide much needed context to the plot as a whole. The other aspects of the title's audio design are perfect, ranging from an eerie soundtrack to appropriate sound effects by the surrounding foes. All in all, the visuals and audio design in Reanimal are satisfying, albeit nerve-wracking at the same time. Gameplay. If you have played any of the Little Nightmares games, you will feel right at home. If the series has not crossed your path, let me break down the basics. You control a small human being in comparison to the world around you. You can sprint, jump, and press a specific button to interact with pre-selected areas of the level. Your companion will follow you and assist with maneuvers that require more than one person, such as boosting yourself up a ledge, or turn on a generator that requires a simultaneous action. You have the option to press a button and gain your partner's attention, but it's honestly useless with the exception of a single puzzle towards the early part of the game. Due to its placement within the horror genre, it's safe to say that you will encounter enemies along the way. Most of them are mechanically identical to the xenomorph in Alien Isolation when you run into it for the first time. You can hide and run, but you cannot attack them. If they catch you, it's game over, and you restart from the latest checkpoint. These cat and mouse chase sequences spike your adrenaline and are pretty neat. When you reach the second act of Reanimal, you will gain the ability to hurt certain foes with a melee weapon or a throwable item. The throwable item is mainly used while riding your boat, while the melee weapon is primarily utilized against the enemies that share your stature. The second half of the game also features a boss fight, but unfortunately, it's the only traditional boss fight that you will encounter in your adventure. Aside from the combat and chase sequences, you will be busy with two additional tasks. On one hand, you will collect several types of collectibles around the levels, including posters, masks, and coffins, the latter of which are needed to unlock the true ending of the game. The masks are wearable, and there's a nice variety of them that can be worn or taken off at any moment. On the other hand, there are puzzles that will require you to either input a code or find a specific item. These puzzles move the story along or illustrate a creepy image on your screen, but they are presented without any sort of challenge. In fact, the whole game was relatively easy. The most difficult aspect of Reanimal was figuring out where you're supposed to go during a chase sequence, but it would only take 1 or 2 tries to conquer these obstacles. The puzzles in Little Nightmares 1 and 2 were creative and asked you to engage with dangerous foes on several occasions, but the puzzles in Reanimal are child's play. Even so, the gameplay is exhilarating thanks to the narrative and visuals, and I hope that a hypothetical sequel would ramp up the difficulty in more than one way. Achievement and trophy support. As long as you're collecting all the collectibles, the acquisition of the Platinum Trophy or 100% achievement status is as easy as a Telltale game, where the completion of the title is the only prerequisite. Most of the trophies are tied to collectibles like hidden statues and posters, and a few of the achievements are automatically earned via story progression. The most essential type of collectible is focused on the coffins. There are 5 of them throughout your journey, and they will present you with a true ending of Reanimal after the end credits. Be forewarned though, I made a mistake during my first playthrough and missed one of the coffins, which left me with no choice but to restart Reanimal and recollect all of the coffins. It was not a complete heartbreak, since subsequent playthroughs should not take you longer than 2.5 hours. Moreover, the only annoying challenge in Reanimal is the one that asks you to drive a certain distance on your small boat. It takes several minutes of monotonous driving, and the progression only updates when you steer your boat towards land. With all of it being said, the Platinum Trophy or 100% achievement completion is easy, and if you want it, you will earn it in no time. Replayability and fun factor. If you are a fan of horror, you will have a grand old time with Reanimal. It has everything you want from an indie-based, fear-filled title, including an ending that will scratch your head and motivate you to conduct further research about the game's lore. Replayability, on the other hand, does not exist for Reanimal. Once you complete your first playthrough of the game, especially if you check out the true ending, there's no incentive to replay it. You can play the title either by yourself or with a partner via local or online co-op, but there are no additional secrets beyond the true conclusion. Reanimal is currently priced at $40, which personally is too steep of a price. $25 is the sweet spot, but I will not blame you for paying the full price for an experience that you will not soon forget. In the end, Reanimal is a nice return to form for fans who enjoyed the first 2 Little Nightmares titles. The frightening atmosphere, the spine-chilling cat and mouse chasing sequences, and the thought-provoking ending will keep your experience with this title in your mind for quite some time. If Tarsier Studios decided to craft a sequel, It would be great if they took advantage of their ability to include voice acting. This change undoubtedly has a chance to culminate with the best game from the studios. In the meantime, Reanimal is a fantastic game in its own right, and I would certainly recommend it for fans of Little Nightmares and supporters of the horror genre in general. I will give Reanimal from 2026 on the PlayStation 5 an 8.2 out of 10. Well folks, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for checking it out. What are your thoughts on Reanimal? Is it a proper spiritual successor to Little Nightmares? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Till next time, have a great day or evening wherever you are. My name is AES, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.